Part 1. Born to Fly. Nebraska, USA. At the edge of a quiet rural road stood a weathered wooden farmhouse, small and humble, nestled among the waving grasses of the Midwest plains. In that house, William Carter was born a boy with sky-colored eyes and a heart drawn to the heavens. His father was a World War I pilot, once proud and fierce, now worn and quiet, haunted by friends lost in the smoky skies of France. On stormy nights, he would sit by the window with his son and tell him about those who never came back. "You ask me what a pilot is?" he once said. "A pilot is someone who flies between sky and hope." From as young as 7, William was obsessed with the skies. While other children played with marbles or carved wooden toys, he built paper gliders and wooden model airplanes from scraps and broken clothespins. He didn't just play, he studied. Lift, drag, thrust, he memorized every principle of flight he could find in old books and worn-out library pamphlets. Every afternoon, he would run to the train tracks to watch the mailman deliver science magazines or books his mother had requested for him. He spent hours sitting on the grass near the farmhouse, staring up, tracing contrails with his fingers, whispering to the passing clouds. "One day, I'll be up there too." At age 14, William began working in a local mechanic's garage. His hands were stained with grease, but his thoughts soared. Every time a small aircraft flew overhead, he would stop, remove his cap, and gaze in reverence like a boy watching angels. His mind never left the sky. His mother, a former school teacher turned farmhand, noticed. One evening, she handed him an envelope. Inside was a note she had written by hand. It wasn't a real scholarship, but a symbol of belief. "It may not be a real flight school acceptance, but it's a start," she told him. "This is your ticket, William. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." That night, under a pale moon and 1,000 blinking stars, William began writing in a notebook. "I am not of the earth. I'm the child of the sky. One day I will fly." Years passed. The Great Depression hit hard. Jobs vanished. Planes were grounded. But William never gave up. He studied, worked, and saved what little he could. Then came December 7, 1941, Pearl Harbor. America was at war. 19 years old, William walked into the local enlistment office and wrote his name in ink. He wasn't signing up just to fight. He was signing up to fulfill a dream that had lived in him since the first time. He looked up at the sky. He was born to fly, and now the world was about to watch him soar. Part 2. The Dream Takes Flight. 493. William Carter, now 19, was no longer the boy sitting in the fields of Nebraska with a wooden plane in hand. He was a cadet, one of thousands who had stepped forward when America called. But William wasn't like the others. He didn't join the Air Corps to seek glory or vengeance. He joined because the sky had always called to him, and now, finally, it was opening its arms. Maxwell Field, Alabama, January 1942. Training was brutal. Days began before the sun rose, with miles of running, endless drills, and classroom lectures on flight mechanics and aerial combat. The instructors were relentless, barking orders over the roar of engines. One wrong decision in the cockpit meant death. But William thrived. In the cockpit, he was alive in a way he had never been on the ground, whether banking into a dive, leveling out against crosswinds, or landing on muddy airstrips. He felt connected to the machine, to the air, to something greater. He wrote often to his mother, sending home neat letters filled with optimism. "Ma, you wouldn't believe it. I flew my first solo today. Just me in the sky. No fear, just peace. Love in a war zone." April 1943. While stationed in England for further training, William was assigned to assist a group of Allied medics, preparing for the growing needs of the European theater. It was there he met Elise Moreau, a young French nurse who had escaped German-occupied Paris with her mother. Elise was sharp, independent, and carried the quiet strength of someone who had lost much. At first she kept her distance, but William's gentle humor and unwavering kindness wore her walls down. They shared quiet moments between raids, sketching together on the airfield grass, trading words in broken French and English. And one night, as bombers flew overhead, they kissed beneath the faint glow of a blackout lantern. "Promise me," she once said, "that when you fly, you come back whole." "Only if you're waiting," he replied. "Orders come?" Late that summer, William's unit was activated for combat. He would be flying escort missions in the skies over France, guarding Allied bombers against German fighters. It was dangerous many didn't come back. Before he left, Elise gave him a small folded paper, barely the size of his palm. "Don't open it," she said, "unless you think you're not coming home." He tucked it into the pocket of his flight jacket, close to his heart. In the sky again, flying a P-51 Mustang, William found himself above the very villages he had only read about in history books, towns in smoke, fields torn by shell fire. He flew through clouds of flak and fire, yet kept his focus razor sharp. He wasn't flying for war. He was flying for the dream that had begun in a Nebraska field. He was flying for Elise. Part 3, Fire over France. June, October 1944. The sky was no longer the gentle blue William remembered from his childhood. Over France it burned orange with fire, shrapnel, and smoke. Normandy, June 1944. D-Day had come. The Allied invasion was underway. William's P-51 Mustang roared over the beaches, slicing through clouds and anti-aircraft fire. Below him, thousands of soldiers stormed the shores. His mission? Provide air cover for the paratroopers and ground forces, breaking through Hitler's Atlantic Wall. Every flight was a gamble. Planes vanished in smoke, radio static buzzed with final words, and the sky became a graveyard of wings. William saw friends go down, some in flames, some silently gliding to Earth, never to rise again. But he kept flying, not for medals, not for pride. He flew because he had promised Elise he would come back, and because somewhere beneath the ruins she was still helping save others. The village below, August 1944. One day, flying escort on a bombing run near southern France, William saw something that froze his blood. The village below, Sartilly, was engulfed in fire. It was a name he knew not from a map, but from Elise's lips. Her grandparents had lived there. Flak lit up the air like fireworks. Yet William broke formation. He swooped low. The roofs were caving. People ran between craters. He spotted a Red Cross flag fluttering weakly on the roof of a collapsing church. He knew she was down there. He circled once, twice. On the third pass, he spotted a figure, small, pale, in a nurse's uniform, guiding a line of children toward the woods. Even at that altitude, he knew it was Elise. He radioed in false coordinates to draw enemy fighters away, risking court-martial. He bought her time. When he landed that night, his superior officer screamed at him, but William didn't care. The letter. That evening, back in his tent, he finally unfolded the tiny paper Elise had given him before he left England. It trembled in his hands. "If you're reading this, it means you weren't supposed to be. But if you are, then no. You gave me more than a kiss goodbye. You gave me the reason to believe people can rise even as the world falls." He folded the letter and tucked it in his flight suit. Not next to his heart, inside it. A new kind of war. After that night, something changed. William was no longer just a pilot. He was a guardian, a shadow above every convoy, a name whispered by soldiers with awe. They called him the Silent Sky, because he never spoke on the radio, but he always appeared when it mattered most. Part 4, The Last Flight. March 1945, years later. The war was nearing its end. Germany was retreating. Cities were crumbling. The skies, once filled with the growl of engines and flak, bursts were quieting except for one. William Carter was still flying, but something had changed. He no longer flew with orders, he flew where he was needed. Over shattered roads where medics marched. Over bridges held by a dozen exhausted men. Over trains carrying prisoners of war to freedom. The troops below didn't need to see his face. They knew the sound, that low hum of a Mustang engine, that silhouette overhead in the early dawn. And they'd whisper, "The silent sky is with us." Austria, March 28, 1945. A final mission. The intelligence was vague. A last German convoy evacuating documents and possibly captives through the Alps. William took off in silence, alone. As he crested the jagged mountains, snow glittering below him, he saw them, trucks guarded, winding through the pass. He tilted the Mustang, dove low. The flak came fast, furious. His aircraft shuddered, but he held. He dropped warning flares, then strafed the lead truck. The convoy scattered. A few small figures broke away running. One wore white, a nurse's coat. He couldn't land there. The terrain was too steep. But he circled, twice, then once more, until he saw them wave. She was alive. 1 week later, William was shot down over Germany during a foggy return flight. The wreckage was never found. His name was listed among the missing. But strange things were whispered in post-war camps. A Mustang flying overhead during a retreat. A red flare dropping just before an ambush. Children saved because someone in the clouds sent a warning. And in a small village in southern France, a nurse who had survived the war taught young students how to write letters. She kept a folded piece of paper on her desk, creased at the corners, worn by time. It read, "If you're reading this, I made it, not home maybe, but I made it far enough to say goodbye. Epilogue, Nebraska, 1965. An old barn, untouched since the 1940s, is opened by a young boy chasing a paper airplane. Inside, in the rafters, he finds an old wooden model plane. On the wing, carved faintly by a child's hand, W. Carter, I will fly.